my dance, make it hurt.
Hello and welcome to Project Passion, podcast made to inspire you to follow your passion and turn it into successful business or career. So, same as I said last week, guys, right before we get started, go down, hit subscribe, because over 84% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. And frankly, I don't even care if you don't watch any more videos. Just if you've watched one video, hit subscribe. Man wants to get this monetization as soon as possible. I need the money. On with the episode though. This week, I am super excited and super happy and honored to have Rowlette on the show. Rowlette is a songwriter and singer from Ireland. How's it going, Rowlette?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So do you want to just kind of kick it off, people? Just kind of give them a little quick intro into who you are, what it is you actually do.
Yeah, so I'm Rowlette. I'm an indie pop artist. I'm from County Mayo, which is the west of Ireland. And yeah, I sing and write songs and play guitar and perform as much as I can, which is not very much these days. And then release music as well.
Nice. So how was it you actually got started in music? Was there some sort of catalyst event that pushed you to get into it?
No, it was actually kind of slow. So I've been singing for as long as I can remember and like writing songs and all that, and then started playing guitar when I was about 12. And then obviously always loved music, was like obsessed with new music and always kind of singing and writing songs to myself. And in school I'd be involved with like the choir and the musicals and that, but never really had the confidence to play my songs for anyone or sing in front of anyone, just kind of at parties or whatever. And then, but it was always what I wanted to do, so it didn't really match. So then in first year of college, I was really good friends with a girl who was studying music, still am, and I played some of my songs for her and she started crying. Don't know if that was like happy tears or sad tears. How do I tell her? It's really bad. But she really encouraged me to kind of go for it and do a bit more. So I enrolled in BIM, which is the Modern Music College. You probably know of it.
Yeah, we had Kevin on from BIM towards the very start. Kevin Maxwell, who done
he's a
guitarist, yeah, on the track.
Yeah. So I did the diploma there part-time, which was great because I just got to meet more people who were like writing songs and singing, because I didn't really know anyone in that kind of area, and I was like, is this really weird? Or so I found out it's not that weird, it's normal. And from there I've been kind of building it, and in the last few years I suppose I've just kind of realized if I want to do it, I need to go and do it. So I've been releasing songs and performing as much as possible. So yeah, that's how I got into it, I suppose.
So do you have any family members that are musical? Was there some sort of influence that came from that direction?
No. Like my late grandfather, he passed away before I was born, and played the accordion, or like I have a couple of cousins who would like sing kind of sometimes, but no, in my family like there's no one who'd perform. They all like to listen to music and that, but no, there's not really kind of a strong, all very supportive but not a strong musical influence. So and even amongst my friends before I moved to Dublin, there wouldn't really have been any kind of ones who I suppose were into music. So I think that's why it might have taken me a bit longer to be like, oh, this is normal. I was like, what will people think when they hear I write songs, or will they think I'm crazy? But which now looking back is mad, because everyone loves that I write songs and they're always like, right, what about me? But yeah,
that's great. So this is a very basic question, but everyone does it. Do you sing in the shower? And if so, number one song to sing in the shower?
Oh my god, do I sing in the shower? Yes, I like sing constantly, and I don't even know that I'm doing it, like all the time. And probably most embarrassingly, I sing like when I'm walking. So you'll just see me walking down the street with no headphones in and like singing, and I just look like a crazy person talking to myself. I don't even know I'm doing it, but oh god, I sing everything and anything, whatever's in the top 40, or like a song I heard on an ad, or any, like, just anything that comes into my head. It's just screamed.
It's crazy. So is this what you wanted to do since, as far as you could remember, or did you have some other idea of a career, a job you were going to go into when you were older?
No, I always wanted to. I always wanted to be a singer. Yeah, like when I was little, it was just me with my hairbrush in front of the mirror, being like, "Woo!" But yeah, I always wanted to be a singer. But I also am really passionate about business and psychology. So I do work in business and then in management consulting, and I'm still very interested in psychology. But they're very much like things I really like. But music is like the dream. So yeah.
Did you study music other than BIM? Did you do like GCSE music, A-level music? Was there sort of a progression of your study?
Yeah, so I did the Leaving Cert is like our A levels. I
Oh
did
yeah.
music. Yeah, I did music for Leaving Cert, which was great. Because half of that is your practical, which is like performance. And then I studied business in college, so I didn't do it then, but I did. Yeah, I did BIM for the year, and then since then I did like an Ableton course
Hmm.
for like about a year, in Sound Training College in Dublin, and like a like music industry course as well. So I'm always doing like little bits of education, but nothing that formal other than the BIM course.
So you say you walk along, you're singing all the time, and when we had Craig on last week's episode, he was talking about how he kind of like puts his words together in his head. He doesn't even realize he's writing stuff. Do you have
Mm.
that? You'll just kind of like think of a line and go, "Oh, damn, that's good. Write it down."
Yeah, so I kind of just like sing away to myself, and I actually write most of my songs when I'm walking or on the bus, or kind of when I'm not really thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like an automatic thing that happens where I'm like mulling on something that's going on, and then it'll just start to like make rhymes out of it in my head, or think about like ways to say it, which can be good because it can distract you from what's going on if you're just writing songs about it.
So
But
do you have a workflow, like a set way that you kind of go, okay, well, I kind of have the lyrics first, I make the tune, I get a beat made, and then is there a workflow from you going from the sort of concept of a song to the full release of a song?
yeah, so for me, like I'm very lyrically driven. I obviously love music and all the sounds, but I wouldn't like nerd out over like this kind of guitar or like this bass line or whatever. I'm just like really about the message and the lyrics. And then so for me, the most important thing is to get like the message and the lyrics that I want across and get them as good as I can. And then I kind of think of it as like, this is your message. And then you just want to package it up in a way that you can get the message across. So it's like, if you make it nice and pretty and catchy, then people are more likely to listen. And obviously I love a catchy song as much as the next person. So I'll come up with the words first. So that might be like when I'm walking, or if I have something that I'm like, I'm going to write a song about this, then I'll start to put the words together. And sometimes I could write a song in 20 minutes, or sometimes I could come up with a verse and then not finish it for a couple of years. And I'm like, oh, I forgot I wrote that. Let's finish it now. And then what I'll normally do is put it to a melody. So I'll just grab the guitar, and kind of put it around it. And sometimes a song that was slow might become fast, or vice versa. So I'll just try and see what fits and what gets the message across, and then try and make it catchy. And then, so then once I have it on guitar and I like have all the words, I'll like gig it a bit if possible. And I'll sing it at gigs and see kind of what the reaction is like,
Mhm.
and sing it for kind of family and friends. And you can always kind of tell because they're always like, oh yeah, it's good, or oh my god, I love that one. So even though they'd never tell me they hate it,
You
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 can kind of
know
tell.
yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, you weren't that enthusiastic about that one, so I'm gonna think you don't like it. So then I'll kind of see like which ones are going down well, and then I'll get a producer on board, and then we'll go and try and make it nice. So I wouldn't like I know kind of the sounds and stuff I want, but
Hmm.
I'm not as like driven by the music itself as I am like that word needs to be like needs to sound like this because it means this. And they're just like, yeah, right,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then once it's all produced and then mixed and mastered, and that's the part like I always find so hard is like the producing and the mixing, because you kind of like it's like you're just trusting that the producer has the same vision as you, but it's really hard to like describe sound. And I'll have like, even though I wouldn't necessarily be like I want this note, whatever, I'll like have a very clear idea in my head of what I want it to sound like. So then, because at the start I'm kind of like, oh yeah, like trust your gut, and then I'm like, okay, I want this on minute 116, and I want that and that, and then it's just that process of getting it like perfect, which is hard because perfection is hard, but yeah, getting it perfect, and then mixing and mastering, and then starting all the promo and all that fun stuff, and then hoping that people actually listen to the song that you've been dying over. Yeah.
So when it comes to your promotion for your songs, because obviously that's how I came to be linked with you, is there anything you do yourself? Obviously, you said you done business management and you was at the museum, and obviously psychology. Is there sort of a process you have for promoting your songs and getting them marketed?
Yeah, I just try and build like as many connections as I can, just kind of with anyone who I think will like my music, and yeah, I suppose just trying to like build kind of genuine relationships there, so that like if they need anything, I can help them, or like vice versa, and just like obviously only sending my stuff to people that I genuinely would think will like it, and just like I'd always just say, if you like it, there's absolutely no pressure to share it. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to like promote anything that they don't like. And I think like a really important thing is just like asking for help and just being as humble as you can, and like asking for advice, and like going to people who are doing the same thing as you, and just be like, look, I don't know what I'm doing, do you know what to do? And kind of always just talking to your peers as much as possible, which is definitely something I underrated in the past, but now I'm like, whoa, like just by talking to people who are like going through the same thing as you just learn so much. So I suppose just being open to kind of constantly learning. But yeah, the process would just be very much like contact as many people as I can and build as many relationships as I can, and then hope that they like it.
Hope for the best.
Yeah.
So you said there before about your songs and how you write them. I kind of want to ask about are these songs and the topics, are these based on your life, or are these kind of just good for a song, or they kind of wrote about experiences and real feeling?
Yeah, so like I would be quite a like prolific writer in the sense that I would write a lot of songs, and some of them are like absolutely crap, but they might be funny, and some of them are obviously more close to my heart. But I always find that like, so some of them might be like about a really emotional experience, and other ones might just be like something really random that I've exaggerated in my head and like made it sound like this bigger deal. And I always find that the ones that are really honest, really vulnerable, and like really are close to my heart are the ones that kind of resonate the most. And my old English teacher used to always say, write about what you know. And it's very true. Sometimes I try and write about things that like I don't have a direct experience with, and I can just tell that it's not coming across as authentic as the songs that I write about when I kind of have gone through it. But I kind of have, it sounds like I have like all these issues, whatever, but I try and stay away from like kind of romantic songs, just purely because I think it's been like sung about a lot, and I don't know if I can necessarily add anything to it. So I do try and challenge myself to write about kind of other things. So I write like a lot about like friendship and kind of like ambition, and like this kind of like Christmas song that we're doing as well, that I'm sure we'll talk about later. It's kind of like a twist as well on like, a lot of what I write about is also just like questioning life and like what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to be like. And one of my songs that I'm releasing early next year that Colum's actually involved in as well is Don't Ask Me What I'm At. And it's literally like that whole like societal pressure, like why do you feel like you need to be at X at a certain age or a certain time? And it's just kind of breaking that down. So I kind of just, I like to break down things that are going on in my life, and also like I can see from talking to my friends or like colleagues, whatever, just kind of what's going on in their lives too. So I try to make it as resonant as possible. But yeah, I definitely feel like the songs I write that are about like bigger experiences in my life definitely go down better.
Yeah. Now, you said about your songs and you like writing sort of catchy songs. Now, that's how I would judge a good song. Now, I judge a good song by, if I hear it once, am I walking about going, singing it to myself? Now, your songs are catchy as all hell. So anyone, now I know I mentioned it in last week's episode, guys, and I put Rowlette's links in the description of last week's episode. Go check them out again. They are in the description as always. But go listen to Cucumber and Ice and tell me you aren't singing that song all damn night after you hear it once. Like, I put it on for my girlfriend in the car the other week, and all we've been singing is just that, like all day, just singing away at it.
Love it.
So good. It is so good. And I wanted to ask, was that just one that was more sort of for fun, or was that wrote about someone?
So yeah, I think people thought it was a romantic song, but it actually wasn't. So I have my group chat with my college friends, special friends, and I said to them, I was like, girls, what would you like me to write a song about? Because obviously I want songs that are resonant. And they said, write a song about us and how great we are. And I was like, okay, of course, that's what you want. But one of the girls said, write about how it's so random that we all met, because we were all kind of in different years in college, study different things. We're all from different parts of the country. But we still all like managed to form this like very cohesive group, and we're all so different to each other. Like craziest A personalities, but we all get on so well. So she was like, write a song about how it's so weird that we all met. And I was like, okay, so that's kind of where the line in the first part of the course is, I don't know how we met, which sounds like,
but you're
like,
sure damn glad you did.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. You got it back to me. So it's just very much about how, like, because in college we used to have these days called rolling around days, where like you go out at night and then the next day you'd spend the whole day just watching movies and eating chocolate and
Hangover
whatever.
days.
Yeah. So it was very much about like, you know, you have your fun time friends that will like go out with you at night, but then these are like your friends that will be there for you the next day when you're like absolutely dying hungover, or like just or like did stupid stuff the night before. And it was just, I wanted it to be really fun because we have like a really fun group of friends, but also like in the course it's like you'll be there waiting for me with a Hendrix G&T, so it's cucumber and ice. So the idea is kind of like, you know, they'll be there for you and they'll give you gin and tonic, but they'll also go to the extra effort of like cucumber and ice, and we'll just go to kind of the ends of the earth for you when you need them. So it's kind of like the balance of, you're my fun time friend, but you're also like my lifelong friend that'll be there for me through everything.
See, because I think that's mad, because like personally, I didn't get that from it. When I got it, it sounds like it's about someone. Like, it sounds like you're singing, in your case, you know, a guy or girl. It sounds like a significant other you're singing it about.
Yeah.
Every line. But now you explain it like that, it does make sense that way. But for me, from the outside, I was like, that's a great song to sing, like, about someone, like, for someone.
No, it's not. Yeah, and someone said to me, it sounds like a one-night stand or something. I was like, oh my God, that is like the complete opposite of what I'm trying to get across. And that's one thing that I also find really hard is, like, I obviously have my meanings for songs, and then you put them out into the world and you hear that someone thinks that it's whatever. But like, as someone, as my friend who I saw for the first time, she's like, you only own 50% of the song, and like what people take from the other half of the song is like just not up to you. And do you know what, if people think that and they have someone in, because also I think you can project onto songs, so whatever you're going through in the moment, you're kind of like, that's
super relevant. So it is, because now I don't know who actually quoted it. Kanye West quoted someone else, some other singer, but it was some other singer's lyrics that was, my story makes history, but it was like his story. And he was talking about like how no matter what you write a song about, people are always going to put their perception on that, and they're always going to look at it through some sort of tinted glasses. So like you can't, and as an artist then you feel like you can't change your image, or you can't write about a different topic, because people then think you should be writing about that one topic, and it should be what they think it is and not what you think it is.
Yeah, and that is the thing. I think like you're probably like, if you're listening with your girlfriend, you're probably like, oh, this is like you. So yeah. I think and that's totally fair. I definitely, like someone said to me before, you know, if you're sad and like you'll start to take like the most deep meanings from the most trite pop songs, and you're like, oh, they just get it, like they just know, but it could be about something completely different. So I totally like, and I've learned to just accept that, you know, if I'm singing about my friends, someone might think I'm singing about, I don't know, a boyfriend or whatever. And it's the same with my song Letters, actually. That was about a friend, and it's genuinely a totally platonic relationship, but everyone assumes it's like this really deep love song. But I mean it in the most platonic love, in the sense of like, did I tell you that enough? As in, do you know that there's people here for you that care about you and everything?
See, that song sounds like you're having some bad heartfelt problems about an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend. When I listen to that song, it's like, I could see me with a bottle of whiskey at 3 a.m. just crying into a glass, like, with that playing in the background going, it makes so much sense. I understand now. Like, that's what it feels like.
And again, like, that's how you project on it, then that's like, as long as someone can take some meaning for it. But it's funny because you just have to come to one of my gigs where I tell all my stories before all my songs.
Do you get up and explain them before you get into them as well?
I do, yeah, because well, it depends, but yeah, for that one in particular, I always would, just because I think it's it sets a good context, and I think also if
Yeah.
you tell the story, then people are kind of listening out more for the story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I like that. It's about that, but whatever you're kind of projecting. But when I do tell the story, I often hear afterwards someone will come up to me and be like, oh my god, that's just like my friend who like moved to Canada, or that's just like my, and when they know the story, I suppose they're listening, and maybe they just take that from it anyway. But like that, it just depends, I think, on your headspace and what your projection onto it. But then some people are like, it's not about that, you're definitely in love with them. I'm like, no, like, if that helps you, then
Another song I need to ask you about because it makes no sense. I can't work it out. Footprints on the Moon, and not the lyrics. Why has that been so popular? Now, Footprints on the Moon has over 70,000 streams on your Spotify, which is probably
yeah,
what, like 10 times, 15 times some of your other songs.
yeah.
Was that just like release radar? Like what the hell happened there?
Yeah, it got on a few playlists. So New Music Friday, Fresh Pop, and Pop Right Now. So that just like completely elevated
Yeah.
it. So I was like, I just get on playlists every time. But it kind of highlighted I suppose, how unimportant the playlists are, because like you get loads of views and you get loads of likes on the song, and like kind of it seems like the magic bullet for a lot of artists, and it's definitely helpful in terms of get more streams and you get more likes on your songs, but it doesn't really translate into actual fans. And that's like kind of because you kind of assume it will, but then I'm like, well, when I listen to playlists, it's very, very passive. You have it on the background, you sing along, and like there's some playlists I'd listen to regularly, and I'd get to know like some of the songs, and then they get switched out. But like I'm not looking for that song then a month later. I just forget about it forever. And it's good, like in the sense of like it's kind of like a radio or whatever. But like that, even when you listen on the radio, you only maybe like one song every now and again. You'll be like, oh wow, that's really good. So it definitely highlighted to me like they're great, but it's really not the answer in terms of. And then there'll be other songs that I would say have done probably better, but don't have as many streams, but have gotten more like, I suppose, like real, like what you really want to sound, that when people hear it, they'll like latch on and be like, oh, I really like that artist, and then want to hear more and everything. So yeah, it was definitely the playlist that elevated it, and it did help, and it did bring up my streams for a good while. But yeah, it's not the magic bullet.
It's not a long-term fix for the music. No.
Yeah, unless they want to playlist all my songs all the time, and then
that is fine. Then you can do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So with you, you went from doing your course, you went from starting out. How did you take it from there to this next level? How did you kind of level up your game?
Yeah, it was there. I don't know, is it for everyone or whatever, but there is this weird period where like you just want to do it, but you're not actually doing anything. And what I think I was kind of like brainwashed when I was younger. I kind of thought that if you were good, someone would just find you. And that like if I kind of just assumed if I was good, like I'd already be a singer. But like no one, and it was actually Colin said to me one day, he's like, no one's not, he wasn't saying it in that context, but he was like, no one's heard your music yet. And I was like, oh yeah, no one's actually heard me, so how can anyone like my music if no one's heard it? And it was that kind of weird thing of like, wait a minute. And then I went for a coffee with another pop artist, and she kind of said like, if a tree falls in a wood, does anyone hear it? And I was like, oh yeah. So it was the kind of, so for a long time I just kind of was like, oh, woe was me, I must not be any good because no one, I don't have any fans or whatever. But then I was like, there's nothing for them to be a fan of, there's nothing for them to hear, there's just nothing. It was all in my head, and you can kind of get stuck in your head. So then I was kind of like, right, well, if I want to do this, then I have to release songs, I have to promote them. And then from there it was just very much like kind of, I don't know, pushing my way through, trying to just figure things out. And like I have heard it in the past, someone be like, oh, I just want to wait for it to be perfect or whatever. But like you can't wait for things to happen. You have to set deadlines. And I'm a like chronic procrastinator in college. It was like up till 6 o'clock in the morning doing my assignments, even though I'd be looking at the screen for 3 weeks before, and then the night where I'm like, so I like need deadlines and stuff. So if I'm going to say to myself that I'm just going to work on a song until it's perfect and then record it until it's perfect and produce it till it's perfect, then like might be a great song, but it won't be out till 2050. So I have to set myself goals, I have to set myself deadlines, and then set deadlines for the people I'm working with, and like that's kind of the only way you'll get things done. But it was just very much a process of like, so my first song I wrote with a great guy, Rob Shields. So I met him at like this random songwriter like club thing, very cool. And he sang a song, and I just was blown away by it. I thought it was so good, so I was like, oh, why don't we like write some time together? And he like has been around the scene a lot longer, and he was so helpful in terms of like just giving me advice, and he knew more. So by meeting him, he was kind of able to help me like do a bit more, and then we produced a song together and released it, and like obviously learned so much from that experience and just what goes into it. And then the next one you kind of talk to a few more people and you learn a bit more, and then the next one you learn a bit more, and then people kind of hear a bit more about you, and then they're more likely to support you when you've been around a while. So it's just, I think the main thing is like take the first step and just keep taking the steps after that, but don't wait until it's perfect. No one is going to come and save you. That's definitely not going to happen. No one's going to just discover you in your bedroom. So you just have to put yourself out there and go for every opportunity that you can, because you never know what one will lead to something. And there's been some very random things that I've done and kind of like, oh, is this worth it? And then it'll be the random ones where you'll meet someone who'll introduce you to someone who'll help you with something, and you'll be like, oh my God, imagine I didn't have that or whatever. So yeah, it's just put yourself out there as much as you can. And I suppose you kind of just have to get over yourself a bit and just like prepare to be embarrassed. Like, oh my God, I embarrass myself all the time. I'll probably be mortified after this podcast that I ever come out with, but just be prepared to like, go up to people or like get rejected, because you will get rejected lots of people. And the worst kind of rejection in music I find is not that someone will necessarily tell you you're bad, but they just won't say anything. It'll just be silent. But yeah, so just prepare for it not to be easy, but like and you kind of just have to, I suppose, make a decision in your head. So I kind of realized, I was like, oh, well, if I don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. So then I started doing things, and then it was kind of like, it was really hard, and it can be really crap at times, and you're just like, why am I doing this? But then the alternative is much worse. Like if I was to stop doing music, I'd just be like,
what else to do?
What is there?
We say this all the time, and for anyone that listens to the podcast regularly, this is a bit of a running theme, especially amongst marketers and the entrepreneur side of us. It's like we call it the fear of taking action, where people get so caught up in, I need to have a perfect logo, I need to have a perfect website, and then you kind of have to sit back and go, well, look, you're not actually a business yet because you're not making any money. Like, go make money and then worry about the finer details. And I assume like then in your case, that would be, don't worry about perfecting every little step, just put it together and put it out there. You're still within your first like 5-10 years of performing. Like, you have time to round these things down and actually perfect them down the line.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're never going to perfect a performance doing it in your bedroom. Like, you have to do it on stage and embarrass yourself and like mumble at this, because I hate talking on stage, and like but I just have to put myself in that position, and then you'll get over it. And like the first time I started singing, I was like crapping my pants, but now I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's like another gig. And if you embarrass yourself, like nothing happens. You're just embarrassed. Like, it's grand. You'll laugh about it later.
So was that like your biggest eye-opener in becoming an artist? Was it just the fact that, you can't wait for perfection, you have to just go and do it and take action? Or was there any other sort of problems or issues you found along the way that you had to sort of overcome as an artist?
Yeah, I think, definitely the whole, like, no one's going to come and save me thing was a big thing. I kind of just assumed, like, someone would hear, like, and I don't think I really, like, when I thought of it out loud, I was like, oh, that's ridiculous. But like, it's kind of something like in your head. I think it's from growing up with like X Factor or whatever. It's like, if you're good, someone will find you. It'll be fine. Yeah. Like, it doesn't happen like that. And kind of when I realized the likes of like Ed Sheeran bust for years before anyone found him, or like, Lewis Capaldi is the same. Like, when you actually, and looking back at other artist stories helps me a lot, because I'm like, they actually were working really hard for years before they got anywhere. So that was really hard. And I think for anyone who's kind of thinking about it, like, this start is the hardest. And I remember I went for a consultation. We have like First Music Contact, and they're both through consultation, and I was so like, this is the hardest time, because you have no fans, you have no followers, you've no nothing. And I was like, oh my God, that's so true. It is hard. But like at the start, you know, you're just constantly doubting yourself and you're like, I'm like, am I really bad and no one's going to tell me and things like that. Like, and it's just a constant question. But I suppose you have to just think of the alternative of doing nothing. And then your like dreams will never come true if you don't take
Exactly.
any action towards them. So you kind of have to use that fear to drive you. And also like it, like, because I'm a solo artist, I don't have a band. So like I spend so much time in my head being like,
Yeah.
why you do this? No one wants to hear your music, blah blah. But so you have to just try it, and it's not easy. I
No.
haven't mastered it yet, but just quiet the voices in your head if you can at all. Just mute them. It's hard, but yeah.
So obviously, you know, one of the big reasons I have you on the show and why you're here this week, December just came out this week. New track from you and Craig Cooney. Obviously, we had him on last week. But for you, what was that like? Tell me about it.
Oh, it was great. So basically, me and Colin were going to a recording session, and he had Craig on. He's like, do you know Craig? And I was like, do you know what? I've heard of him, but I don't know if I like know him. And he started playing the song, and I was like, Colin, put me on a track with him. I was like, just do it. So
Do you know, Craig's was the same response. I asked him what it was like and how he got to meet you. And his, if you haven't watched it, his response was like, when he finally got to come and record you, he said he walked in and he like heard you singing and he was just like awestruck, just standing there. Like as soon as he heard it, he was like, this is insane.
Yeah. Oh bless. But yeah, no, so I heard his stuff and I really liked it because he's very positive. And it's not that whole like woe is me, like curse and whatever. It's just really like decent music and it's hip hop, which I wouldn't typically listen to, but no, I just thought he was brilliant. And yeah, so Craig or Colin obviously manages him, so I was like, let's make it happen. So he then Craig DM'd me and we were like, yeah, let's do this. He said he really liked my stuff. I was like, I love your stuff. Let's do it. But we had to do it all over Zoom. We never got to meet each other before we were in the studio, which I thought would be like much worse than it was. It was actually grand. So it was kind of me, Colin, Cormac Kavanagh, who's the producer, and Craig just on loads of Zoom calls. And they had kind of a track built and they're like, Sarah, can you sing over that? So I was like, yeah, I'll have a listen to it, whatever. And then I had earlier this year, my brother kind of said, oh, you should write like a not so optimistic Christmas song, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I really like that idea. So I actually wrote the bridge in January, which is a little spooky because it's kind of like dark. And then we had the year we had, and I was like, whoa, did my subconscious?
It was your fault. You scutted us. You done it to us all.
I jinxed us all. So that happened. And then I kind of was like looking through my notes at like different kind of hooks and stuff I had. And I was like, guys, how do you feel about a Christmas song? And I think they all thought I was a bit mad, but they were like, in fairness to them, we're just like, yeah, like, sure, let's do it. So it was really, and then we were like, why are we doing this? Because it was like we're not used to working over Zoom, B, like hip hop and pop and trying to combine it. And then like Christmas song, like, how do you write a Christmas song? It was really hard. I was like, this is hard. And Craig, but yeah, in fairness, we just pulled it together because we had to. And then kind of lockdown came in and we were like we were just kind of wrapping it up, and it was like, we're going into level 5 on Thursday. I was in Mayo and it was on the Monday. And we're like, okay, I guess we have to have this recorded by Thursday then. So it was like, but it was really fun. And the guys are just so good to work with. Like, they're just so positive, just so like, you know, get it done. Like, in terms of working with the team, I'm not used to working with the team that large, but in terms of working with the team, it was just like, couldn't fault it. Like, they're just,
the team was damn massive. Like that's what I said when so for anyone that hasn't seen, I have a react to this song because I never got to hear the full song before the release. I heard snippets, and then when the full song came out, I jumped straight on and done a react. So I'll drop a link for that below. Go check it out. But that's what I said in the track as well, because there's so many people. I don't even know everyone's name, and I work on the track as well, and I still don't know everyone's name.
Yeah, no, it was a huge team, and I should probably list everyone out now, but I'm afraid.
Craig tried it. Craig had to keep a list in front of him when he done it as well.
Yeah, but like everyone was just so, you know, because sometimes you might work with people and you're kind of like, oh, they're just doing this because they have to, or they're not into it. But everyone was just so motivated. Like Cormac was just brilliant when we were coming out with her silly demands, and he was mixing the track, and we were like, okay, we actually want this now, we want that. Rihanna, who took the photos first, she's an angel. Like, we were in the park with the tree. Have you seen that? Yeah.
I've seen the photos, but Craig Craig said this was one of his funnest parts of doing it, was when he got to do the photo shoot with you. And Craig said you were just standing, like he's covered in lights, and there's like kids just walking past, like, Daddy, what's he doing?
We looked so ridiculous. Like, it was one of those times where it's just like, one of those like pinch me moments in like the worst senses, in like, why am I dressed in Christmas lights doing up a Christmas tree in the park? But like, in fairness, like, I was just like, Rihanna, there's no way that these photos can be usable. But in fairness, she's like just brilliant. She's so good at what she does and very patient with us. But it was hilarious, yeah, and it was just so funny because like Craig is obviously so cool, and then we're all just like, we just look like idiots. But it was brilliant crack. It was a great day. And yeah, and then just in terms of like getting the song out there, and Kieran doing all the graphics for us, they're just absolutely phenomenal. So we were just so blessed that like so many people wanted to work with us and believed in the track, and were just very accommodating to us and all our all our crazy demands. But it was just such a lovely atmosphere, and yeah, they're all a joy to work with.
Did you have a favorite part of the entire production? You know, Craig said like his was doing that photos and like just actually getting to like have the fun. But did you have a favorite part? Was it like, you know, writing, recording, the waiting for it to come back? What was yours?
So I definitely enjoy all of it. I definitely enjoy all of it, but I prefer the kind of parts where I'm like, okay, it's going to be okay. Because like at the start, there's just so many variables, and it's all ideas, and you're like, you want, you know, the cover art to be like this, you want the video to be like this, and you want it to sound like this, and you want this message to come across, and you want this kind of sound in this part, but then this kind of sound in that part. And you're like, it's all in your mind, and you're all talking about it, but it's all in your minds, and you're just trusting that everyone in their mind is the same as what's in your mind, which is like, and like, obviously brilliant team, and I did have like faith, obviously I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But when it starts to come to life and feel more real, and you know, you've gotten past the like, you know, oh, don't heat that part, that'll be fixed, or like, don't heat that, and then you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna trust it'll be fine. And then once it all comes together, and you're like, listen to the track, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay, it sounds good. And then you're like getting the, you know, the artwork done, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this looks like. So for me, kind of seeing it all come together is definitely the part that I enjoy the most, just because I'm like, okay, it's gonna be okay. So does that count as part of the process? Like,
that's as part of the process, the getting the proper system in place. But you've already said it there, but you know, when you were going to work together and you kind of didn't know what you were going to do it about, and then, you know, like your brother said, why don't you do a Christmas song? Was there a certain message you wanted to get out with your portion of the song and with your lyrics in there?
Yeah, so I have thought about this a lot, and you know, Christmas, like, and I've kind of thought this every year, is like, you know, some people might have someone who passed away during the year, or someone might have had like a financial difficulty, or their just mental health's not the best, or even like, I think some people just find Christmas a really hard time of year because they're spending like extended periods of time with their family that they might not be used to. And like, you often hear people like having massive fights on Christmas Day, or like someone getting really stressed out over cooking the turkey or whatever.
That sounds like my house.
But so like, I just always kind of like, you know, there's always someone on Christmas that you're thinking of, and like, oh, like, or like, you know, the year after your grandparents passed away, and you're just like, oh, it's not the same. And like, there's so many years where I've been like, oh, it's not the same now because such a person's not here, or because such a thing has happened. And then you're like walking around, and it's like, it's the most happiest time, and you're like, oh, but like, am I just a Grinch that like, I'm not like, oh my God, it's the best time ever. Like, I love Christmas. I love like seeing my friends and my family and just like hanging out and all that stuff. But like, when there's this like pressure that you have to be like, this is amazing, and you want it to be Christmas every day, and I'm just like, for a lot of people, that's literally just rubbing salt in the wound. Like, you know, Christmas can be a hard time some years, and like, that's okay, and that's normal, and like, you know, life's not perfect. So I suppose what I wanted to get across in the song was like, you know, just enjoy what you can and take the best of what you can. And like, if that's catching up with your family, but you can't give each other presents because you're all broke, or if it's like, you know, you have to spend it somewhere that you didn't expect, but like, just making the most of it and just accepting that and not putting pressure on yourself to feel amazing or have the best Christmas ever or make it the best Christmas ever, or like, especially because this year I think Christmas is going to be very different for everyone. And like I'd hate to think that like I'd hate to think that like people will be like, oh, like this is crap, like it's not the same, like let's just forget about Christmas this year. It's like, no, just like it's not the same, but enjoy the parts that you can. Yeah, you don't have to have the best time of your life, but just enjoy the parts that you can. Some years are good, some years are bad, like, and then like Christmas comes around like so often. Like, if it's not great, like you have another chance next year.
It's only every 365 days. Like, it's not you have to wait long.
But yeah, so just, sorry, I'm rambling, but just make the most of it, but don't feel like it has to be amazing, or if you are upset on Christmas Day, or you don't feel up to it, or you can't give people the presents that you want to, like, don't beat yourself up. Just enjoy what you can, and then chill out.
Just get on with it. So I'm looking forward to next year, to hopefully, fingers crossed, better times for us all. Have you any plans for that? Have new tracks ready to come out? Potentially an EP or album? Any gigs?
Yeah, I hope gigs. Yeah, I really hope.
Please.
I know. Oh my God, I'm dying to gig again. But yeah, so I'll be releasing a song late January, early Feb. Date is TBC. And that one that I was talking about, Don't Ask Me What I'm At. So like hot off the press. We're not exclusive. It's just about me not knowing what I'm doing with my life. And then I will be releasing an EP like a couple of months after that, and then there'll be a few singles after that as well. So yeah, I'm very excited to get my EP out into the world, because it's been a lot of singles and I'm ready for.
I was about to say, because that's your first multi-track release, isn't it? The first EP?
Yeah, I released a 2-track acoustic session in June, but it's not really the same thing. So yeah, I'm just so excited to get, I have like the few tracks that I think just fit really well together and kind of get a cohesive message across. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. So hopefully that'll come out shortly after the first song, and fingers crossed I'll be able to sing at gigs, I'll be able to go to gigs, I'll be able to hug people and all that other lovely stuff.
Yeah. So if you had the choice of anyone, in fact, we'll do it the way I went with Craig. If you had a choice of anyone at home back in Ireland, and the choice of anyone worldwide to record with, who would that be?
Ooh. At home in Ireland, I love Lyra, but we probably wouldn't really compliment each other, because
she'd probably say no.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, as in like our voices wouldn't be, so if I'd probably pick a male just to like get the contrast. But I'm obsessed with so many female artists, Irish artists at the moment. But if I know Craig said Dermot Kennedy, but like he's pretty good.
So if you could have anyone in the world to record with, who would be? And bear in mind, Craig picked bloody Elton John, so you could pick anyone you want.
God. Oh, well, like obviously I'd love just to meet Beyonce. So.
Fair.
Yeah. I'd probably just pick Beyonce. I'd sound absolutely crap as either, but like just to be in her
just to meet her.
Yeah, just to like I just do some oohs and ahs behind her.
So moving on, we'll round out here. The same as always. Advice for other artists. Good advice, bad advice, avoid this, do this. What would you be telling everyone else?
Good advice. I'd say talk to people, reach out to people. Some of them might ignore you, but a lot of people actually are willing to help and don't mind giving help. And that was something I always was afraid of. It's like, oh, they'll think I'm such a weirdo and won't want to talk to me. But a lot of people like sharing their knowledge and wisdom. So definitely reach out to people and ask them for advice. Go for coffees. Do that as much as possible. And then the main thing is just like take the first step. Like just do it. Like nothing's going to happen like thinking about it, and like done is better than perfect. And if you are waiting till you're like this perfect artist to do anything, then like you'll never do anything. So just take the first step. And then there's something that came into my head and then literally left as soon as it did. But yeah, and then the other thing is like take everyone's advice and all, but like try and like know what you're about, and don't try and like it's something I'm still like working on, but don't try and please everyone with what you're doing. Just do like just be you. But no, seriously, just like stay true to yourself and don't just like write or sing about things that you think people want you to, because that's not how you stand out. If you are just copying everyone else, then there's only one you. So just be you.
So just to round this out, do you want to give another shout out, promote December here real quick?
Yeah, just want to say again, thank you to the huge team behind us, particularly Colm and Craig and everyone else who was involved that made the track.
Nice.
And thanks to yourself for promoting it as well.
No problem.
And just, yeah, if you could listen to the song, that'd be amazing. It's on Spotify and all the other usual places. And there is a lyric video on YouTube if you can't make out what I'm saying. And yeah, and just hope everyone has a lovely Christmas this year, even though it's not the same. I hope that it's still somewhat nice.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for coming on today, Rowlette. I appreciate it. I know I actually needed more females, which is another cry to anyone listening. We have had, you're the first female in like 16 episodes. I don't know how it happened. I had other ones booked in and then they pulled out. I don't know if it's just they don't like me. I don't know, but it's all guys and we need more girls. So if you're a girl or you know a girl that would do that, just hit me up, get in touch, because we need a lot more female inspiration on the podcast.
Oh, bless. I'll think of some girls for you. Some great female power out there. Thank you so much for having me on. It was so lovely to catch up with you and chat. So
no problem, Rowlette. Thank you very much.
Thanks a million.
Okay, guys, so that was Rowlette. As we said, December out now. Links in description for all platforms. Go check it out. Give it a listen. Go follow Rowlette over on Instagram. Her links will also be down there. And I will see you again next week.
Hello guys, how you doing? It's me, Jack, mate. You've just finished watching probably one of the best videos on YouTube. So why not take a moment to consider subscribing? And if you haven't already, hit the like button and turn the notification bell on. Apparently it helps. I don't know how. It was a good one though, wasn't it?